Call to order January 9th, 2023 meeting of the Conestoga Valley Board of School Directors. I'd like to welcome everyone that's here and online. Will you please all join me with our pledge to the flag? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Martin, will you please give us the attendance? Thank you. Also in attendance are the superintendent and cabinet. I asked if we can be heard well out there.
No, might need to be a little closer.
Is that better? Yeah. If I get away from that, please give me some sort of sign, because you have every right to be able to hear what's going on.
The kids are being very honest with you right now. If you look out, they're all waving, they're like, yeah, we're good.
You can always rely on the kids.
They're honest as the day is long.
This is our work session, one of 2 meetings per month, in which we receive most of the informational presentations, as well as discuss and deliberate future decisions. There are also sometimes some action or voting items required on timely issues or to meet time-restrained deadlines. Our meetings observe the requirements of the school code, legislative directives, the original Act 84 Sunshine Law, all subsequent amendments, judicial rulings, and our district policies to the best of our understanding and ability. All agendas and related public documents and details are posted on the district website. That said, are there any additions, changes, or deletions to tonight's agenda? Hearing none, could I have a motion to agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Move on to the superintendent's comments.
No comments for this evening, Madam President.
Are there any board comments on board activities? I would like to add one, and that's the board's thank you to everyone that participated in the poll for the superintendent search, as well as those that participated in the focus groups. I want you all to know that we read every line of every post that was presented, even though many times they were at complete opposite ends of the spectrum. We told what we should do, and in the next line, someone said that's exactly what we should not do. We will listen and take in everything you say and come up with what we feel is the best perspective of the district. If you feel we have missed something, we apologize in advance. Please know that you were heard and you were considered. That said, we are ready to move on to our student report. Would you like to do the introductions, Dr. Z?
I will. Let me get this punched up here. Ms. Gorniak, second grade teacher at Brownstown. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Graybill, the principal at Brownstown, to do the formal introductions.
All right, yeah, thanks. It's great to be here. Hopefully you can hear us okay. Here with Ms. Gorniak, as Dr. Z said, she's a second grade teacher, and Mrs. Ripley, our fifth grade teacher. Both of them actually provide a lot of leadership every month to our First Friday gathering assembly. I don't think I've been in the district 12 years now, and we've never really highlighted our First Friday, at least for a student board report, but it's a great short little way for us to meet and showcase and support and communicate district initiatives, school initiatives, and so we thought we'd just take about 10 minutes and run you through what a First Friday might look like. So, students, I'm going to pass it on to you, and we've got one microphone. You just pass back and forth.
Good evening, school board. We are pleased to be here tonight to showcase one highlight of life at Brownstown. But first, let us introduce ourselves. I am Charlotte, and I am in second grade.
I'm Addison, and I'm in 11th. I'm in 5th grade.
I'm Lily, and I'm from.
I'm Eden, and I'm in 2nd grade. I'm Kate, and I'm in 2nd grade. I'm Liam and I'm in 5th grade. I'm Paul and I'm in 5th grade. On the first Friday of each month, we gather the whole school together in the lobby to build community. First Fridays are a way for students to take on leadership roles. The gatherings also allow for student recognition in the areas of language arts, mathematics, and character strong. Each month's presentation includes the pledge and anthem, review behavior expectations, the morning greeting, character strong, upcoming building events, student recognition for birthdays, growth and hard work in language arts, mathematics, and student of the month, morning message, character strong, and the school song. Please enjoy the following presentation, which will be an abbreviated version of our First Friday gatherings.
Hello, school board. We usually start off with the Star Spangled Banner and the pledge, but we're just going to start off with the around the world. So to start it off, I'll start by telling you why we do this. We do this to show you that everybody belongs in this school. No matter how diverse you are, you're welcome. I'm taking you to Laos because my parents were born and raised there. I want you to get to know me more. So I'm going to say hello and you repeat after me. Sabaidi.
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 Now I'm going to say good morning. Sabaidi Don Sao.
Sabaidi Tongsa.
Sabaidi Don Sao.
Sabaidi Tongsa.
Good job. But I got to get going since I would be saying too much. So I'm out. Peace.
Each month, we review the definitions of the character strong trait, show a video, and hold a discussion on the trait. We review the monthly challenge, and here is what we shown and discussed last month. Empathy is understanding and connecting to other people's feelings. Have you ever heard the saying, walk in someone else's shoes? This is empathy. When you can see another person's point of view and understand how they feel, you are being empathetic. You are going to watch a brief video clip. While watching, look for an example of empathy.
One more.
As you saw in the video, empathy can be given in a form of a gift, but also a warm hug, a caring friend, or even a listening ear. This month, your challenge is to discuss how empathy can make. Ask your teacher for a grade level post, character strong poster. Share your ideas and read others well in the hallways. And remember to show empathy, not only this month, but throughout the whole entire year.
On Thursday, January 12th, from 5:30 to 8, please join us at Barnes & Noble for our book fair. Students can participate in a scavenger hunt and be entered into a raffle for a gift card. Listen to music performed by your peers and view there are displayed throughout the store. Catch your teachers performing in a reader's theater, and if you are thirsty, head to the cafe for a Bulldog steamer. This is always a great night for our Brownstown community to get together for a fun time and a good cause, to raise money for the library. We hope to see you there.
On Thursday, January 19th, we will be having a wacky hair and/or outfit. See, I am pretty wacky myself with my amazing outfit. And if any of you school board members are interested, or any of the crowd, I would like to see you on Thursday, January 19th, in your wackiest hair and/or clothes. And now, anyone with a January birthday, please stand for recognition.
Please clap for our birthday.
Thank you. Now, normally we would have a lot of names called, but since none of you are students, we don't really have anyone. So now we'll just read some descriptions. In December, a math award description was for her hard work and perseverance in solving difficult math problems and having a positive attitude. A reading award example was for her drive and passion in reading. You go! And finally, a Student of the Month award for always showing empathy towards others and caring about what they think and how they feel. That's it for me, but now it's for Parker.
As we start to wrap up our first Friday meetings, we always have a teacher and a class or a group of students share a message with the school. Sometimes this is through a video they create, a poem, a song, or a letter. Tonight, our morning message is an evening message in the form of a letter for you. Dear school board members, we want to thank you for all the time, hard work, and dedication that you have gave the students at CV. Earlier, we saw a video of an adorable but sad hedgehog. Throughout the power of empathy and problem solving, the hedgehog's friends found a way to make sure he was included. That little display of kindness changed the hedgehog's life. We can be those friends. Everyone in this room has the power to make an impact on someone else's life and our own each day. Empathy is just one of the many character strong traits we are learning about this school year. Throughout the year, we are learning about respect, responsibility, gratitude, perseverance, honesty, cooperation, courage, and creativity. With these traits, we can all learn to be better citizens and make our community a better place. As you continue your meeting tonight and each meeting throughout the rest of the year and beyond, we ask you to remember the hedgehog and his friends and the power that all the character strong traits can have on you and everyone else around you. Again, we appreciate your hard work and dedication to us and the rest of our CV students. Sincerely, Parker Newswinger and the rest of the BT kids here tonight.
Each month we close out our gathering with a song. Sometimes we sing the Brownstown School song, and other times we sing the song that we have practiced in music. Here is a clip from last month.
All right, Derek, I don't know if we're in sound, so you may have to sing for us. Let me see if I can get sound. We'll see real quick. Volume. Sorry, guys.
Concludes our First Friday presentation. If you would like to join us for a real First Friday gathering, here are the dates and times for the remainder of the week. We'd love for you to join us. Thank you and have a great night.
I'm willing to bet that if your principal and teacher would join, you'd sing the song for us. Any questions from any of the board members for these young people? Thank you.
Great, thank
You guys can head home and do some homework now.
Next item on our agenda is a time for public comments. Is there anyone from the community that would like to address the board? Will you please come up to the microphone? We are pending revision of policy, policy 903. We no longer request your address. Would you please state your name for the record?
Elizabeth Rickard. That's a hot mic.
I'm sorry, did you do that?
My name is Elizabeth Rickard.
And are you a resident of CV?
Yes, ma'am.
You have 5 minutes for your remarks, please.
Thank you. This is regarding item 4H, Board Policy 123.
Before we close that door back there, we'll be okay.
A few weeks ago, School Board President Idette Groff and I connected on the phone as a follow-up to the board's November 21st meeting, where Mr. Michael Talley presented that he wanted the board to amend the CV athletic policy to discriminate against students who identify as transgender. During the call with Mrs. Groff, she stated that she believes the two things the board needs to focus on are, one, that the board are obliged to follow the law, and two, that the board must, quote, do right by the students. I would like to speak to both of those ideas, which are similar to the email I sent to the board and administration on December 5th, in support of inclusion and equity for students who identify as LGBT+. First of all, I want to reiterate a point that Dr. Diane Martin made at the November 21st meeting. Any discriminatory policy could leave our school district and CV taxpayers liable for, quote, tens of thousands of dollars in legal costs if our athletic policy violates Title IX. No matter what side of the political aisle we're on, I think most CV taxpayers can agree that we do not want to violate a student's rights so badly that we're inviting expensive lawsuits. A discriminatory athletic policy would be cost prohibitive. Recently, Pennsylvania's Independent Regulatory Review Commission updated anti-discrimination regulations for areas including education, stating that our schools can't discriminate based on sex, which includes, quote, sex assigned at birth, gender identity or expression, and affectational or sexual orientation. I want to recognize that some members of the board might be unfamiliar with the concepts listed above. And although Mr. Talley stated at the November 21st board meeting that he doesn't want to learn more, I say that it is negligent to avoid learning more, especially in an educational setting where this board would be responsible if they violate students' rights and the law. Additionally, this ongoing ignorance risks putting students in the LGBT+ community at further risk of bullying from their peers. Although I appreciate that Mr. Mark Gensel expressed at the November 21st meeting that he does not want students who are transgender to feel excluded, the impact of any rules discriminating against trans students is that they will not just feel, but actively be excluded. In October 2021, as a private citizen, Mr. Gensel said at a board meeting that, quote, "Not everybody's on board with all this stuff with gender identity. But I want to respectfully counter that it doesn't matter who's on board or not. Members of the LGBT+ community are already part of our CV community." I think that Mr. Talley, Mr. Gensel, and some of the other board members might mean well, but speaking in ignorance, they are expressing attitudes and using language that bullies our students who are trans. They are setting an example for CV students as well as administrators and educators that it is okay to bully and exclude certain students. But it is not okay. If the board adopts an anti-trans athletic policy, it would be an undeniable statement that Conestoga Valley schools under this board are not a safe place for students, especially those who are trans. Our schools would not be a safe place for any person, student, family member, or staff who might identify as part of the LGBT+ community. As Dr. Z said, these students who already face bullying from some of their peers and sometimes even adults in school are just children. They are our CV students. They want to fit in as themselves and participate in school life and activities free from bullying and intimidation and unlawful exclusionary policies, just like any other student. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board at this time? Now we'll move on to our regular agenda items of business, starting with change orders for the middle school.
On. You hear me all right? Okay. I'm here to present two change orders, both for the general contractor at the middle school, 14 and 15, and I'll give a brief explanation, and if there's additional questions, I'd be happy to elaborate. So 14 involves a few code items. PCO 33 and 37 regard code clearances for door swings. The code requires 18 inches on the pull side or 12 inches on the push side, and we needed to remove and reinstall some door frames to allow for proper code clearances. 37 involves, and actually that should say A028.1 is a duplicate. So there's actually only 3 doors we ordered new frames for to allow for the proper door swing per ADA requirements. And then the third one is for the stair at the main monumental stair, the teaching stair. We had to add additional guardrails for that because those stairs, if you've seen them or seen them elsewhere, are the double height stairs. So the guard actually has to be taller per the code inspector at those locations. So we're actually adding additional guardrail on top. That's under fabrication. First two regarding the door swings, that has been completed already. So that's 14.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yes.
If this is to make it ADA compliant, was that an oversight in design or was that a change in the regs?
No, in our drawings, we didn't have a specific dimension there. So if we would have snapped a specific dimension there, we would have known that it was actually 12 inches and not 18 inches. So nothing had changed. It just wasn't detailed in our drawings. In hindsight, we could have gone into actual drawing file, snapped that dimension, and discovered that ahead of it being installed and caught by the inspector. That would have been for the first one there.
I would classify that under errors and omissions.
It's incorrect, and we could have caught it earlier.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions on 14? And then 15, there were a few details for the flashing at the media center roof. This is where the patio pavers are above the media center next to the main entry. To clarify the detail and actually update it, we added additional flashing, insulation, and sheathing there and took away some masonry that we didn't need. So it ended up being a net add there of about $600. And then PCO 53, we are painting some of the exposed MEP items that are directly above the vestibule. When the vestibule's under, it'll have ceiling, lay-in ceiling there. It's not there, but you will still see some of the mechanical items above, and they're white and gray. So we're just going to paint them monotone up there, a simple color to blend in, so it's aesthetically more pleasing. So if you see it down the hallway or from the outside through the curtain wall, it'll blend in more. That's what that change order is there, and that has yet to be completed. The flashing at the media center roof is completed already. Any questions on those two? This one is actually going against the allowances listed there, 9A and 9B.
Any questions from the board? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mrs. Hansi, I think the next two issues are yours.
Hi, good evening. So this resolution that's attached, I had referenced, okay, thank you. I had referenced this resolution last month when I was talking to you about some of the budget highlights for the 23-24 year. And what this resolution does is it tells, confirms with PDE that we are not going to apply for any of the referendum exceptions. We don't qualify for them anyway this year. And it also confirms with PDE that we are not going to raise our millage rate more than the Act 1 index of 4.1%. And just kind of as a little side note, I found an interesting fact on PDE's website regarding school districts in Pennsylvania applying for these referendum exceptions. And for the 21-22 year, out of the 500 school districts in Pennsylvania, only 30 applied for the referendum exceptions, and only 7 used them. I thought that was interesting. I thought that number would have been a lot more. So it kind of gives us a little more satisfaction that we're going to be in good shape. So I don't need action from you this evening. We can simply roll this over into the consent agenda for next week. Okay. So the next item is a revised audit report. So you approved the audit report back in November, and a few weeks later, I got a call from the lead auditor, the partner of the firm, saying that after our audit report had gone through technical review, along with other school districts' audits, somebody on their technical review, quality review team discovered a very small addendum to a very large policy and procedures about applying single audit procedures to expenditures used with federal monies. So this little technicality stated that they had to come back and apply a few procedures to some of the expenditures that we used with ESSER funds. And we're going to be, they're going to be auditing the ESSER funds this current year, but last year that particular funding wasn't identified as a major project. So they had to come back 2.5 hours. They were in the office, and all of that to say that of the very large audit report, 70, 80 pages. On page 74 of their audit report, there were 5 words added to say that we are in compliance with the audit for ESSER funds. No findings. So again, same thing with this. We can roll that into the consent agenda for next week if you're okay. And do you have any questions?
Any questions?
Okay, easy
Thank
enough.
you.
Thank you.
Dr. Z.
Yes, ma'am. We're very proud of our partnership with the CTC. It allows this year 86 of our students to attend. We have 44 full-time students and 42 half-time students attending. In order for them to, CTC, to operate, they charge the local school districts in Lancaster County to make contributions. The average increase is 4.92% across the 16 districts. Ours is a little bit over 5.4% increase of what our contribution rate is. But again, we are very proud of the partnerships and we wholeheartedly support the budget as presented. And I would just ask Mr. Hurst if there's anything else to add on that.
No, I contacted her about it and
You'll need to
everything.
consider your
And he went into more depth as into why the higher percentage and all that kind of stuff. And it's good, legit. And I am also very excited about our partnership with the CTC. I think they do an excellent job, and I think they are extremely disciplined in their financial dealings. Also, feel very good.
Any
If
questions?
anybody has
from board
questions
members?
about it.
On to Dr. Mann.
Good evening. I have two items here. The first item is new course proposals for next year for the high school. There are actually 4 courses, three of which are in the English department. The first one is a course on in our college and high school program on literature. You recall last year we talked about some of these courses before because HAC was making some changes in their programming. We're making some adjustments. We're making some adjustments again because we can, because it's best for our students. So this first course is giving our students an opportunity to have a literature course at college and the high school level so they can earn college credit. Currently, we do not do that. Currently, it's they have college and high school 101, which is an English comp class. Second course that allows us to do this is the argument class, which actually there is some curriculum currently in the 102 in that first class that plugs nicely into the argument class. So again, a college and a high school course. This course actually is through the University of Pittsburgh that our students can earn it if they so choose. So would be a new course for us. Third English class that's new is History of Film 2. Currently have a History of Film 1. This elective would afford the students an opportunity to further study film at another level. They would build upon courses that they build upon film critique that they've already. Any questions about the English department before moving to the next? The last one is the computer science class. As we continue to grow our computer science programming here, we'd like to offer this Computer Science 3. This course is actually a college and high school course as well through the Carnegie Mellon. So students that opt to take this course potentially could earn credit through Carnegie Mellon if they so choose. This, just a comment, it says 3 to 5 total as far as students. Typically, at that level, that's how many students we would see taking that course. Not that we would limit it just to 3 to 5 students. It's typically that's how many students would be able to take that level of course. Yeah, that course also runs concurrently with other computer science courses. Those 4 classes don't need action tonight. They would be on the consent agenda next week.
Dr. Mann, would each of these be offered in 23, 24?
Yes.
I assume you weren't ready to change the title of argument.
I did check with Mr. Carley, the instructor that for us, and I said, just wanted to confirm that that was University of Pittsburgh's title, and it is. My personal opinion, argument, is a hook. And as soon as you see that, and say, oh, argument, versus maybe just debate. And we've heard debate. So no, I'm recommending keeping it.
Okay, I can live with
Okay.
it. Any other questions? Yeah, and actually that's, I did. The one course says PC preferred. Do you have a problem with that?
Which one is that?
So,
Computer science. The last.
The computer science. Bottom.
This one? Oh, gotcha. Not sure, I have to get back to, not exactly sure what that means.
Yeah, we'll check with the level 2 and the AP courses, to see what devices they're using.
Currently, we're using iPads at the high school.
That's why.
Right, and so
Be an outdated.
it could be, right. Plus, it could also, and I don't know, and I'll have to double check, in that room with such a small number of kids, we may have PCs available, but I'll check on.
I just wanted to make sure the kids didn't get in class and find that they were slightly handicapped.
Right. Yeah.
We wouldn't want that, would we, Mr. Apple?
Next item I have is a Math 180. As you recall, earlier this year, Dr. Kozer and I presented our PSSA data. One of the areas that we've noticed that we need to really look under the hood is middle school math. One of the things that we did this year is we used what's called the CDT, which is provided by the state of Pennsylvania, which is a classroom diagnostic tool. So we use that assessment along with IXL, take a look at our students. And what we are able to do is we've identified specific areas that need tier 2 support. We currently do not have a proven research-based tier 2 support for the middle school math program. Math 180 is a new tool, but it's with a company that we've used before. Read 180 may sound familiar to some of you, which we currently use in the district. Math 180 will give us that tier 2 support for our middle school students that we've identified through the CDT and the use of IXL. If you recall, when we presented that data, one of the things that we noticed was that our special needs children are actually growing, right? Because they have a specific tier 2, tier 3 courses and interventions in their curriculum. So this would fit into your typical student that need a tier 2. We are able to pay for this through ESSER funds for the first 2 years. This is a 3-year subscription. And so I'm recommending that we do this, and I would like to have action on this tonight so we can get moving.
Can you just clarify, so this is a service for covers all grades?
This will be for 6, 7, 8.
So it targets that specific area?
Tier 2, correct.
Because remember, we had that dip in 7th grade there.
I
So.
couldn't remember where, I remember it was math, science, and some other stuff. You may have said that, and I
Sorry.
And when he talks tier 2, we're talking MTSS, that level of support. Tier 1 is in the classroom. Tier 2 is additional help. So that's what this is. And like you said, with the Read 180, we've had that for years. This is just their sister company from.
Was Read 180 brought on? Okay, so that, I'm assuming we kept that's perspective.
So just for clarification, 29 is for the, correct?
No, that's for the 3-year subscription.
Okay, and 2 years are being covered. So what is our,
So it would be,
so that it is just
About 10.
essentially 10, it's divided by 3. Oh, okay.
Any question?
Dr. Mann, I see that there's some training, getting started training. Do you feel that that's sufficient for the teachers to implement this?
absolutely.
What's the timeline on getting this running?
As soon as the provider can get it, and that'll be relatively quick, that they can turn it around. So I'm hoping within 2 to 3 weeks that, as soon as we get it approved and we I can sign the contract and we can get moving.
Okay.
If they tried to get us to start shipping it over Christmas break, and I said, I have a board meeting. So,
Okay.
they will bill us accordingly over for the 3-year, because I had asked for that. Since we would be using ESSER funds, I have asked for them to break this up over a 3-year period. So they'll send us that accordingly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
He wants action tonight, doesn't he?
Yes.
I move we accept the proposal sent by Dr.
Just re-
No, he said he wants
Yes.
action.
He did ask, so
Oh, you would
tonight,
that
that'd be
done
great.
tonight?
I would,
Okay.
so I can get moving.
Fine, then accept that motion. Is there
Aye.
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 Thank you.
the other 1, 2, 5 issues that we just went over will all be on the consent agenda next week? Move on.
I do. When we started looking at our district goals for the school year 21-22, it just so happens to coincide with our 3-year strategic or comprehensive plan. And so what we felt was probably what was most prudent was to focus all efforts from the board to the classroom on those 3-year goals that are listed in our comprehensive plan. And the board, to their credit, said, let's align our district goals with the comprehensive plan. What this allowed us to do as educators is you can't have a different goal every year. This gives us time to plan, implement, revise, and finish. As you remember, we gave an update last summer how we were doing for the end of year 1 of the goals. We will do the same thing again this summer for year 2. But if there's any input on changing, updating, or editing, it's really just for the edification of everybody here. Just as a reminder, it is a 3-year goal. It's a 3-year process. We're ahead in some goals and not as far in others, but you'll get your update in the summertime.
Does anyone have any concerns about these goals or feel they need to be tweaked in any way? We won't change them, but we can make minor adjustments if one that you think is so. One thing I would mention, and Mr. Gensel will be interested in this, I'm interested in seeing this process policy, something we tried to see if it was worthwhile, and I think if something is worth being a goal, it's worth putting your effort in. So, something you may want to look at when you read this policy. That brings us to an item that we've been playing with for 6 months now. I'm hoping the board is prepared to give some direction as to what we do next. Reviewing Board Policy 123 that references interscholastic sports and transgender. We have had a number of suggestions as what we should do or what we could do. And in fact, we've had 3 hour-long discussions about the advantages, the disadvantages, secondary effects of making changes. So at some point, we have to decide what we're going to do next, rather than constantly pass over the same issues. We need to decide where we put our focus and what we do. So I am simply going to open the floor to that discussion. Anyone who would like to suggest where we move next. Don't all rush to your at one time. I'm going to leave it to me, Aisha.
Wait.
My suggestion at the beginning is to do nothing. Basically because I saw no way to win in this situation. I let the board know that I had all of the resources that the only school district in the state did make changes. Our local Memphis district had been gracious enough to provide to me, as well as many of those people contacted me offering to come to present. No one on this board asked for any outside input. And quite frankly, I was pleased at that, because to me that meant we were focusing on what was most important. Number one, our obligation to obey the law. And number two, what's best for the children. That is my unrecognized 11th commandment. Take care of the children. There have been small changes, ups and downs in the public front, official front. Still left with the same position we were in then, with minor changes. To protect the district, and that was one of the big issues, and I think we have at some level addressed everyone's concerns. Maybe not as well as we like them to turn out, but at least addressed them. Was the legal aspect. Mr. Talley, who presented this, felt as if he would throw this back at me and say, oh, we say, have to rely on policy, and that's true, providing your policy is on firm footing. There is no firm footing for any of these policies as it is still being hashed out in the legal arena. My feeling basically is that if we have a policy on either side of the issue, open ourselves up to lawsuits from both sides. Not that I expect any, I consider this a small problem. Other concern, kids, and my feeling always is, more individual and personal we get our students are having any sort of problem at all, better off are, which is what we do now. One thing did come to the surface that I think we all agree, correct me if I'm wrong, was that we're not really happy with the PIAA decision to leave this in the lap of principals. So the first thing I would suggest is that we adjust our current policy, not add one, but put in the process that we feel works best. And I've spoken to our solicitor, and we can do that without being in trouble with PIAA, provided we work it right. I think anyone that has a challenge to eligibility, no matter what their reason for that challenge, and there are dozens of reasons why people challenge eligibility, should go to the athletic director, should be referred to the superintendent, who of course is free to consult with the principal or anyone else available. That keeps it on a personal level, and at the very worst, he can always try to send it back to PIAA where it should begin with. Is there anyone that has a problem with adding that process to our policy? Is silence consent? Anyone want to nod their head or bubble or something? Okay, that leaves us with the question of whether or not we're going to change the essence of the policy. I will not lead that discussion. I'll sit here as long as you have to. Somebody suggests which way forward we go.
My only concern was sending it up to superintendent. That's a big, heavy lift person. So I kind of like it would be like superintendent with the principal with the athletic director as a team, where they each have a say in it. So it's spread out over a committee.
I think good management suggests that the superintendent would use the input of everyone that he could. I don't know if you can codify that kind of behavior with your superintendent, but quite frankly, we can get in trouble, any district can get in trouble for some of its decisions. They end up with a court injunction requiring them to reverse it. That's very different from getting sued. And you'll forgive me for this, but That's the job they asked for. Superintendent, the leader, and to come up with ways to handle issues. I don't know if that satisfies you or makes you more comfortable.
No, alleviates pressure.
I can add a little bit more too. Diana, the way PIAA and the Lancaster Lebanon League work, it is between the AD and the principal who are in constant communication with the superintendent, because ultimately it's a superintendent's call, even though PIAA says that the high school building principal's responsible. Dr. Smith isn't going to do something without my okay. So, and that's universal, not just in CV, but across. So there is a tight communication.
So simply to clarify then, so we would put specific language in the policy that says under such circumstances or cases, it would be discussed between the athletic director, principal, and superintendent.
Yes, and
on a case-by-case basis.
I would word it as any challenge to eligibility. So it's a blanket policy.
The only thing I might suggest, and I agree with that, is to put some framework around the considerations that those three individuals take into account.
I'm sorry, would you say that again?
Yeah, it's to put some framework around what those three individuals take into consideration with any challenge, and to put some expectations that the board would have on what is considered. For example, I would suggest adding to that, taking into consideration safety, fairness of competition, and the advice of our legal counsel. To try to put some framework around.
I understand, and as I think of those three things, we did previously talk to them based mostly in relationship to transgender issues. In many ways, that would apply to other reasons people had for challenging. So I am fine with that. Dr. G, how do you feel about giving some specific concerns listed? They would not be the only things that would be considered, but
certainly not.
Specific ones.
Yeah, we would have to try and look back at the. It says properly safeguard both players and spectators. That's facility. Part of it is in the PIAA. So I'm going to have to pull those back up. I don't have those with me right now. Okay. But student safety, student athlete safety is paramount within that. And then legal review, obviously we're not going to go do anything illegal. And that's where we would consult the solicitor as well. So part of that Ms. Kapka's question about making sure there's a team to make the decision, obviously, if depending on the situation, legal advice would be brought in as well.
And Dr. Z, even if the PIAA requirements mandate that safety must be considered, I would personally have no problem with duplicating that requirement in our own policy.
There's no reason why we can't be a little more specific to make sure that we have a focus on that.
Okay. I want to make sure, Dr. Z, that you don't think that this is going to deter any superintendents or anything, like where they're like, not touching that with a 10-foot.
I can't speak for any other superintendent.
Right, I understand, but putting yourself in that position, would that sway your?
No, I'm looking out for the safety of all students. Okay. So regardless of the situation, student athletes need to be safe.
Right.
And that's a given, because all students need to be. And so I have no problem adding that somewhere in there. That seems redundant to me. That's my only pushback. But
big on redundancy.
The other part is the legal advice, I think, is important. That would make a superintendent feel better.
Right.
If I've got legal standing, then I'm better.
All right. I would like to clarify something real quick, and this is just speaking on my behalf, that this is, in my opinion, no way an anti-anybody policy or something that's been stated numerous times. It's not the intention at all. We are not saying that anybody cannot play a sport. My personal opinion is I am girls athletic sports or sports in general are very important to me. I have two daughters that play sports and stuff, so preserving that fairness and that quality and that safety is very important to me. It's not anti anybody else. It's preserving the integrity of the female sports. So my personal opinion is I would put biological male and female in there. I don't know where the rest stands for that.
Well, we seem to agree on the process. Now we're into detail. Mr. Hurst suggests limited participation available for male and female. Whether or not we do that, this is not a vote this evening, but the people writing this policy deserve some sort of guidance. I will add one thing that's been added just lately, this concern about how ironclad this policy is. We all understand that this is an issue in flux, and it may take a while till it all works its way out. I have no idea. It could take, we've been told, as much as 2 years, as little as 6 months or less. But whatever happens, I assure you, the district will continue to follow whatever the law tells us to do. All of us, some of us, or none of us like it. That's the only thing I can assure you, that we will follow the law, and as it changes, we will revisit this issue as required.
Can I ask one more question?
Absolutely.
For clarification, as our policy currently stands, there is nothing that prohibits, let's say, a male basketball player that does not make the team to then go play for the girls, correct?
He makes the team.
Right, but I'm saying there's nothing right now in our policy that says boys must play on boys or girls on girls, right? It just says that there has to be equal opportunity for both. It does not say that a boy cannot play on a girl's team remaining as a boy.
That has been one of the courtroom arguments, opportunity, availability. Part of our problem is that back in the day, I mean, way back in the day, society was different, culture was different. Said hockey, we just sort of all understood that.
Right, and I'm not talking about only like...
That is why these teams, many of the names of the teams don't specify. But when we do have two teams, same name, I don't know of any ruling that prevents us from specifying.
Right, you can specify it's called boys and girls, but there's nothing that says they can't. My only other one.
I'm looking at our athletic director. Is that an accurate statement that if we have a boys basketball team and a girls basketball team, a cisgender student cannot play on the opposite team? Can you come up to the mic just real quick?
Can you hear me? Okay, yeah. So I said that's correct. And I said, however, if we offer a sport that is not offered, like if we offer a girls' sport such as field hockey, that's not offered for boys, boys can go out for field hockey. Girls can go out for baseball because softball and baseball are not the same. So girls could go out for baseball. We actually had a girl that was interested in baseball coming into her 9th grade year. We were in discussions all summer about her participation on that team. And then at the 13th hour, she decided to, or the 11th hour, she decided to play softball. So, but that's how we would go about that, is those discussions of whether or not it's safe for that player.
So that's written somewhere other than
It's not written.
Policy.
It's not written.
Oh, it's just an understanding.
Correct.
Okay.
And that too would, if the student wanted to play on one team and was denied, they could challenge the eligibility. That's the process we're talking about. So where do we stand, folks? What do we tell them to do? To leave it as it is and make those adjustments to the process that we feel more comfortable with? Oh, please, somebody.
I think I made my opinion clear. I would vote to put biological male and female in there.
Okay.
Rest of the vote. Rest of the vote.
I can poll the board. It will not be an official vote. You're not required, when we do see the policy, to vote that way, but would that be easier for you if I just went around the?
Sure.
Okay. Mr. Hurst, do you want to change, adding the transgender field?
I would like to change the policy to specify biological boys and girls sports. Biological boys play on boys sports, biological girls play on girls sports.
Dr. Martin, which policy would you like put?
Get into the, like I do. So I'm thinking about what policy and what we currently do. And correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. But isn't that what you described as far as the procedure, adding those things into the policy? Is that what?
But it's not in policy. We do that informally.
So what would be the benefit of adding that?
Who holds the responsibility for the decision would be part. That was my personal reason for wanting to look at that, because right now it sits on the principle. I didn't think that was appropriate.
The question is, when you're talking about safety and legality, I've got to follow the law as written, currently stands. So when we start adding, whether it's, I forget, first how you said the biological male or biological female, that's where now we need to jump into the legal side and see if we can or can't do that. So when you write policy, you don't write it for specific, you write it so it's applicable across. So your question is safety and legality, does that cover Mr. Hurst's concern? If it deals with safety or legal issues, yes, it would. But I don't know until there's a specific case. Everything is case by case, and we talked about that for months.
I'm not sure that's
I don't know if I've answered your
question. I think the question is, are we putting in policy what we already do?
Yeah.
Yes, but this codifies it. Make sure everyone's treated exactly the same way, cases handled. Instead of it being informal. And we've never dealt with this. Usually these issues have to do with locker room. And that's how we've handled those. Just simply making sure that all of the issues, as it's defined more broadly, are all handled.
This is not saying that boys must play on boys' teams.
Right, no, I understand.
So we do not have anything in there that talks gender identity. It's biological. Right, that is something that is not in. So what we do is we handle it again on a case by case. If I deny, they appeal.
So I guess ultimately my view. Oh. We're already doing. And I understand that with already doing.
Perhaps I should have separated these two goals. One is process, content. Right now, I like to start. I guess he gave his suggestion. Mrs. Trowbridge, do you agree with the change in content? Okay, are you willing to policy?
I think it's interesting. I'm going to take this here just to share. I do think that authority, where it goes, how that continues to be, legal landscape change. So from an authority standpoint, I don't want regardless of how, I would rather them come after.
We start off with a focus on content.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. Well, honestly, I don't know how to separate.
I understand.
Because for me, it has to start with party change. That's the first thing especially because in a specifically, she's got her shoulders to support too. I do appreciate that. The content part, legal piece of that is always going to, regardless of the fact that when it comes to trans kids, I do care about them to be excluded from attending or from all the. I disagree. What they about themselves, but they're not submitting. So it's not the school that the other legs to stand. I also would find it frustrated that a lot about a stake and yet stake they haven't. But again, what found stuff, and it's also inappropriate of the community to say we legal issue, then luckily CV care about. And I appreciate the case by case basis when it comes to caring for kids and families. That should be the across the board. So I hope all things, it's a regular, simple sport, or it is a trans issue where there's this kind of distinction that we are taking the time to ask them, let's talk about the safety of the sport. Let's talk about your size and your speed, skill, and all of it. Regardless of your desire to win, let's talk about this thing. So I hope that is taken. But at the heart of the issue,
okay, but bottom line,
content.
Okay.
It's not.
Okay, we will come back around with the process. Mr. Benigno, would you welcome the chance to review a policy that did or did not change content?
I personally agree with Mr. Hurst. However, the legality of it is now playing in the background. And I would be willing to entertain the fact that the process of which goes to Dina. However, I will say for what Mr. Hurst said is that if we do go that route, and like I've said previously, this doesn't end for me. This will continue, and it will go on, and it will go on until obviously the Supreme Court makes its decision. But if we do decide to go that route, it doesn't end. I'm still going to continue to believe, personally, what Mr. Hurst.
We would never ask anyone to change what they believe. And I know it's often difficult to approve a policy that isn't what you really want. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. As board members, we have to vote for things we don't like. And I guess where some of us find ourselves. Either way. Mr. Dillman, are you willing to welcome a policy for review that does not change the content? That specific content?
Right, so simply to clarify for myself, the suggestions to incorporate the athletic director, superintendent, and the principal, in my mind, do change the content, because that is not currently in the policy.
Oh, okay.
Correct?
Okay. The content as opposed to the process that would be in the policy. Mr. Hurst's suggestion is that we specify the transgender would not be allowed to participate except in specified teams. Do you agree with that change in content, or would you prefer we leave it as it's now? And we'll get back to process the second time around.
Okay. Well, in fairness to Mr. Hurst, I think what I heard him say was base it on biological gender. He didn't mention anything regarding transgender athletes. So just to try to clarify that for
Do I
Mr. Hurst.
understand that that is what
I mean,
gender at birth?
yes, biological born at birth.
Right. So I just want to make that clear. I didn't want
Yeah.
Mr. Hurst's comments to be misrepresented.
Oh, fair enough.
Having made that clarification, however, I need to separate my personal opinions from what I feel is best for the Conestoga Valley School District. And based upon the current legal landscape, at this point, I can't support that change being recommended.
Mrs. Capco.
I definitely am for, I would, that needs to change. Content. I would say no on the content of changing the content oversight.
Well, if, it was welcome back. And I am going to assume, and if I'm wrong, tell me, that we all are in favor of making sure the process is changed. Thank you. I know this is difficult.
Sorry, real quick, you, in meaning that as in not to go through the principal, correct?
Yeah.
You're changing that, yes, I agree with that. It should
Yeah,
not be
I
the
think
principal's
we
responsibility.
all
Okay.
agree that that needs to be codified.
Yes.
And that the
I understand this is not, it's difficult to vote against something that deep in your heart you don't, it's quite the right way to do it. And Mr. Benigno is right. As things change, it will come before this board again. No doubt. There is no way anyone on this board or in this district would purposely try to block something that had been legally decided. No way.
I understand. Thank you.
Well,
I'll be the first one to bring it up.
I'm
I understand. I just wanted to clarify. I'm trying to take the heat off of the superintendent. I understand that that's their job and that's what they're signing up for. I don't want to be like, you know, here's all the responsibility, deal with it.
Yeah, I do.
And that is, and I'm sorry for digging into this again, but as part of changing that process, are we willing to add some of those considerations?
Yes, I think
To the
we
policy.
all agreed that we would mention some of the.
What I have is on safety and legality. And what we'll do is we'll run the policy through our normal procedure, and we'll put it on the next agenda where Mr. Gensel and I and members of the association will sit down and create that first draft. And then you'll see the changes, and then there'll be comment, just like we do on all other policies.
And I'll save you a round of comments. Personally, I would like to see safety, fairness of competition, and the advice of our legal counsel.
Oh, just let it. If it isn't to Mr. Gensel's liking, and we all agree, we can change it at that time, okay? As long as he knows what it is we'll be looking
But I
think he knows what I'll be looking for.
for. Yeah, I think so.
and I would agree with that 100% with Mr.
Again, you have to be
Gansett.
careful of fairness of competition, because you don't want a stellar athlete not to be able to play because they're a stellar athlete.
I'm ringing my button over here, y'all. Okay.
Are there any other concerns?
Dr. Martin.
Sorry.
My request would be that our solicitor look at any wording changes, please, and thank
Yes,
you.
they will.
I want to make sure everyone has had the opportunity to express the where and the why.
And I just want to say one thing. I appreciate the board and its professionalism tonight. I think that it could have gotten worse if it's approved to. But I just want to acknowledge the fact that I think we handled it professionally and like how we should. That's all.
I can't disagree. This is not a board that's in the habit of arguing. And we need to respect even those who don't agree. Thank you. I too appreciate that. I don't think I've skipped anything, which doesn't sound normal. The board agenda for next week posted for you. At this point, is there anyone else in the public who'd like to address the board on any issue? If not, are there any board matters the board members would like? I would remind you, if you haven't, your PSPA insurance, January 16th, you haven't done that. Other than that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn for legal personnel reasons.
So moved.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.